All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be diving into something pretty different.
Oh,
Yeah, the ancient story of the Tower of Babel.
huh. Interesting.
Yeah, you might be thinking, what does that have to do with business?
Yeah, exactly.
But get ready, because there's some unexpected business wisdom here from, of all places, the book of Genesis.
It's amazing, how these ancient stories
I know,
can
right?
still give us these insights
Yeah.
into human ambition and collaboration,
Yeah.
even in business today.
And that's what we're going to unpack today in this deep dive.
Great.
How this story of, you know, sky-high dreams and miscommunication
Oh, yeah.
can actually teach us a lot about balancing ambition with reality,
For sure.
the power of clear communication,
Right.
and why recognizing our limits can actually be a secret weapon.
And the Tower of Babel itself represents this
It does.
grand vision, right? This
Yeah.
ambitious goal to reach the heavens.
It's ambitious.
In business terms, that's like having a bold, audacious goal.
Yeah.
That really fuels your passion.
Yeah, that pushes you to create something new and exciting.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Oh.
The story shows us that even with the grandest vision, things can go wrong.
Well, for sure.
And one of the biggest culprits is
What's that?
miscommunication.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It is.
Initially, everyone building the tower spoke the same language.
Oh, wow.
So things were moving along smoothly.
Makes sense.
But then God intervened and mixed up their languages.
Really?
Yeah, and it led to chaos and ultimately the failure of the project.
Wow, that's such a vivid image
It is.
of how communication breakdowns can just totally derail even the most promising ventures.
Totally.
I can definitely relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
I once had this project where we were so close to launching a new product line,
Oh,
but miscommunication between the marketing and development teams
no.
led to a major delay.
Yikes.
It felt like our own little Tower of Babel moment.
It really highlights how crucial clear communication is at every level of a business.
Yeah.
Think about it. Delegating tasks effectively, giving constructive feedback,
Yeah.
even pitching your ideas to investors.
Makes sense.
All of these require clear, concise communication to make sure everyone's on the same page
Yeah.
and working towards a common goal.
So, thinking practically, what can our listeners do to avoid these communication pitfalls?
Well, one key takeaway from the Babel story
Okay.
is the importance of establishing open and consistent communication channels
Gotcha.
within your team.
Makes sense.
Regular check-ins, clear documentation,
Uh-huh.
and making sure everyone understands their roles and responsibilities
Yeah.
can go a long way in preventing those Babel-like misunderstandings.
That makes total sense. It's like setting up a solid communication infrastructure from the
Okay.
get-go
Yeah.
so that everyone can stay connected and informed,
Right.
no matter how complex the project gets.
And this is where the story takes another interesting turn,
Okay.
because it also teaches us about recognizing our limits.
Uh-huh.
Despite their ambition and effort,
Yeah.
the builders of the tower couldn't ultimately achieve their goal.
They hit a wall.
They did.
And for entrepreneurs, that can be a tough pill to swallow.
It can be.
Right.
Yeah.
We're often driven by this idea that we can achieve anything if we just work hard enough.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that.
I think so too.
But the Tower of Babel reminds us that there are limits.
Absolutely.
Resources, market forces, even our own time and energy.
So it's not about giving up on your dreams,
No, not at all.
but about being realistic and adaptable.
Exactly.
So humility isn't about thinking small.
No.
It's about being strategic
Right.
and knowing when to adjust course.
And actually, the source material suggests
Right.
this mindset is a strength, not a weakness.
Interesting.
Acknowledging your limitations allows you to be more effective at problem solving
Yeah.
and more open to new approaches.
Because when you're willing to admit that you don't have all the answers, you're more likely to seek out collaboration and learn from others.
Precisely.
You become more agile and resilient,
Yeah.
which are essential qualities for any entrepreneur,
Definitely.
especially in today's rapidly changing business landscape.
It's like that saying,
What's that?
the only way to do great work is to love what you do
Uh-huh.
and be willing to suck at it for a while.
Yeah.
Embracing those moments of sucking at it
Yeah.
as opportunities to learn and grow
Definitely.
is key.
And this ties back to communication,
It does.
because when you're humble, you're also more open to feedback. You're more willing to listen to different perspectives and incorporate them into your approach.
It's like building a feedback loop into your process,
Yeah.
constantly refining and improving
Makes sense.
based on what you're learning along the way.
And this brings us to another crucial lesson from the Tower of Babel.
Okay, what's that?
The idea that true success isn't just about building the tallest tower. It's about the positive impact you create and the legacy you leave behind.
That's such a powerful point.
It's not about the bricks and mortar.
It's not.
But about the value you provide.
Right.
And the connections you make along the way.
The story emphasizes that entrepreneurial success isn't solely about achieving a grand vision, but about the journey itself. The relationships you build.
Right.
And the positive change you bring to the world.
So listeners, as you reflect on your own entrepreneurial journey, think about those moments where you hit a wall.
It happens to all of us.
How did you adapt and overcome those challenges? What did you learn from those experiences?
It's those moments of hitting a wall that often force us to reevaluate our approaches.
Oh, yeah.
Our assumptions. And sometimes even our goals.
I can see that.
Which can ultimately lead to even greater success.
I like that.
Me too.
So true. And that reevaluation can be so valuable.
It can.
It's like taking a step back and asking, is this the best way to reach my goals? Or is there a different path? A more innovative approach.
Exactly. And that's where the ability to pivot comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a concept you see
I've heard that term.
time and again in successful entrepreneurial stories.
Yeah.
Think about companies like Netflix. They started as a DVD rental service.
Really?
But they were able to adapt and transform into the streaming giant they are today.
It's like they were building their tower.
Realized
the landscape was changing.
Right.
And instead of stubbornly sticking to the original plan, they shifted their focus and built something even more remarkable.
And that adaptability is closely tied to recognizing your limitations. For example, maybe you have an amazing product idea, but you lack the manufacturing expertise to bring it to market.
Right. That's where partnerships come in. Instead of trying to do everything yourself, you can collaborate with others who have the skills and resources you need.
And that's a beautiful example of how acknowledging your limitations can actually lead to greater innovation and success.
Interesting.
It's about leveraging the strengths of others to create something bigger and better than you could have achieved alone.
It's like instead of trying to build a tower with just your own bricks, you're realizing that there's a whole world of building materials and expertise out there.
Exactly.
That by working together, you can create something truly extraordinary.
The Tower of Babel ultimately failed because of that lack of collaboration and understanding. But imagine if they had been able to overcome their differences and pool their resources.
They might have actually reached the heavens.
Well, maybe not literally.
I know.
But you get the point.
I do.
And that brings us to another critical lesson from the story,
which
we touched on earlier.
What's that?
The idea that true success isn't just about the end goal, but about the journey itself and the impact you have along the way.
Because in the end, the Tower of Babel wasn't just about a physical structure. It was about the desire to make a name for themselves, to leave a lasting legacy.
Precisely.
The builders were driven by ambition, but their ambition was ultimately misdirected. They were so focused on reaching the heavens that they lost sight of the importance of connection, collaboration, and creating something meaningful for the world.
And that's such a powerful message for entrepreneurs.
It is.
Especially today. Where it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and the pursuit of external markers of success.
It can be hard to stay grounded sometimes.
We're constantly bombarded with messages about scaling fast, disrupting industries, and achieving unicorn status.
I get what you mean.
But the Tower of Babel reminds us to pause and ask ourselves,
Those kinds of questions.
What kind of legacy are we building?
Good question.
Are we creating something that truly benefits others, or are we just adding to the noise?
It's like, are we building a tower that isolates us? Or are we building bridges that connect us to something larger than ourselves?
That's such a great analogy, because ultimately it's those connections, the relationships we build, and the positive impact we have on the world that truly define our success.
And that impact can take many forms.
It can.
It could be creating a product that solves a real problem. Building a company culture that empowers employees. Or even just using your platform to advocate for a cause you believe in.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
The Tower of Babel story challenges us.
It does.
To think beyond our own ambitions.
Oh.
And consider the broader impact of our actions.
So, like, are we contributing to a more just and equitable world? Are we leaving the world a better place than we found it?
Those are big questions.
Yeah, they are.
But they're questions that every entrepreneur should be asking themselves.
I agree.
Because ultimately, the answer to those questions will determine the kind of legacy we leave behind.
That's powerful.
It is.
And that's something that no amount of money or fame can ever buy.
So true.
So, listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive into the lessons of Babel, I want to leave you with this final thought. What if, instead of striving to build that towering monument to ourselves, we focused on building bridges?
Bridges.
Yeah, and bridges of communication, collaboration, and shared purpose.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
Because when we think about it, that's really the heart of what it means to be a successful entrepreneur.
I agree.
It's not about isolating ourselves in our ivory towers.
Right.
It's about connecting with others.
Yeah.
Understanding their needs.
Makes sense.
And working together to create something that benefits everyone involved.
And that's where the story of Babel offers such a profound cautionary tale.
It does.
Because when we lose sight of those connections, when communication breaks down, and our ambitions become too self-serving, that's when things start to crumble.
Exactly. The tower itself becomes a symbol of hubris and disunity.
A monument to our inability to understand and collaborate with one another.
And ultimately, it leads to its own downfall.
But imagine if the builders of Babel had taken a different approach.
Okay, like what?
Instead of trying to impose their will on the world, what if they had focused on listening to one another, respecting their differences, and finding ways to work together towards a common goal?
They could have achieved something truly remarkable.
I think so, too.
Not just a tower that reached the heavens.
Right.
But a society built on a foundation of empathy, understanding, and shared purpose.
And that's the challenge I think the story of Babel poses to all of us.
I agree.
Especially those of us in the entrepreneurial world. It's a reminder that true success isn't just about individual achievement, but about our collective impact on the world.
It's about building something that lasts.
Yeah.
Something that makes a positive difference in the lives of others.
Absolutely.
And that requires us to be mindful of our motivations.
It does.
To prioritize communication and collaboration, and to always remember that we're part of something much larger than ourselves.
So as you continue on your entrepreneurial journey, I encourage you to keep these lessons from Babel close at heart.
Good advice.
Let them guide your decisions, shape your interactions, and inspire you to create something truly meaningful.
Because in the end, it's not the height of our towers that will define our legacy, but the strength of the bridges we build.
Well said.
Thank you.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the surprising business lessons.
It was surprising.
Hidden within the ancient story of the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking.
We did.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Keep connecting.
And keep building those bridges.
We'll see you next time.